Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is CeeChronicles. I'm back again with a talking scents episode. So today we're going to be reviewing a fragrance. But before I go into that, I'd like to say, if you're returning, thank you very much for always coming along and checking out what we have on this channel. If you are new, thank you very much for considering to watch what goes on this channel, which, you know, is fragrance reviews, fashion videos, and much more. I hope after watching this video, you will consider subscribing and joining the family. I am talking scents today, so I'm going to be reviewing a fragrance for you. I had birthday fragrance haul in October, and this fragrance happened to be amongst the fragrances that I chose for myself, right? This is Oud for Glory, or Badee Al Oud, right, by the house Lattafa, right? When I saw this, I'd actually said to myself, I'm going to go slow on the Lattafa fragrances, because as a disclaimer, I'm not being sponsored to do Lattafa fragrances. They just happen to intrigue me because of the price and the quality. So, you know, I'd said to myself, I'm going to go easy on Lattafa. I'm not going to buy any Lattafas for a while. But when I saw this, I was just, you know, curious, and the packaging is what drew me to it, and you know, I opted for it. So this is how it looks when you open it, right? I'm going to hold it like this, but not that it's going to fall, because this bottle is actually very firmly inside there, you know, to a point, to an extent that it's very it's a bit, you know, tight taking it out, right? So that is Oud for Glory, or Badee Al Oud by Lattafa. That's the presentation. I'm going to take it out. This is what I was talking about, that the bottle is really snuggled in there, and it's quite tricky taking it out, but okay, I've got it out. So that's how the packaging looks like. Beautiful as always. You know, Lattafa always makes sure their packaging, you know, is on point. Now this is the bottle, right? And that's how it looks like. Solid bottle, 100 mls, Eau de Parfum unisex. It's got the Lattafa logo there. It's got, you know, this beautiful print there. Very nice. Something that I really love, more so that I like black and gold colors. So this fragrance, to some of you, might not be new, because this actually is a clone for Initio's Oud for Greatness. And I am going to insert the bottle and the packaging of Oud for Greatness by Initio, either on this side of the screen or on that side of the screen. And you'll see the striking resemblance. You know, they copied it to the T. You know, this metal plating here, the colors, everything, except that this is 100 ml and Initio's is 90 ml, and Initio's has a bit of some difference with the detailing, you know, somewhere there. But from a distance, if I had to put this bottle, say, on my dresser right there, and you know, you happened to pass by, or it was in a shop on a you know, on a counter, and you didn't take much notice, you'd actually think this is Oud for Greatness by Initio, but it's not. It's actually Oud for Glory. So they you know, replicated everything really. So basically this is supposed to be a clone. You know, I don't personally own Oud for Glory because, you know, I have so many fragrances, and I like sometimes to test out fragrances, or at least to get the hang of what they smell like before I can commit. And more so, you know, that Lattafa has nailed some of the fragrances that I've even preferred to buy, you know, the original of, and then the copy of, and then I realized, well, you know, maybe I shouldn't have, because the fragrance is really, you know, bang on. So we are going to get into the actual fragrance, and I'll tell you what my thoughts are, right? This is not my first time spraying it. I'm just going to do this for the purpose of this review. So this is how the sprayer looks like. It's, again, it sprays that mist, which is typical of the Lattafa fragrances. They tend to give a burst, you know, of a mist, but this is a very generous mist, because even on my hand I can feel it all through, right? So the notes on these on this particular fragrance are not quite easy to find. So what I decided to do was I ended up going with the notes that I saw on eBay, where I actually bought this Lattafa Oud for Glory, and the notes that were listed were Cambodian Oud, amber, saffron musk in the base, and patchouli. So this fragrance, what I'm going to do, like I said, I I do not have Oud for Greatness by Initio, but I am going to tell you my thoughts on this one, my independent thoughts, because I don't have them side by side to compare, right? So I had, when I opened this fragrance and I sprayed it, I took it easy because I had actually read about Initio's Oud for Greatness, which this fragrance is cloning. So I didn't want to go straight with this fragrance onto my skin because, I was thinking, well, maybe it's going to be too strong and too cloying and stuff like that. So I sprayed it on a piece of paper and I left it there, and I kept on coming back and sniffing it. And the day went by, and that was it. And then the following day, I tried to spray it on my clothes, but just one spray, just to get just to get accustomed to it. And Offset, this fragrance is a very woodsy, smoky, caramelly, spicy kind of fragrance. It's airy and smooth at the same time. It does have some creaminess to an extent, and that burnt sugary feel to it. So the notes are it's almost like a ton of notes that you get at the same time when you spray this for the first time. So it's one of those fragrances that it doesn't really, it's not easy to judge on first, second, third, or maybe even fourth spray. So that's what happened to me. But to my surprise, after spraying it a couple of times in a couple of days, I then took I just took the lip and said, okay, I'm going to spray it closer to my skin. And the one thing I got to realize was this fragrance is not cloying at all. It does have the oud. It does have that herbally feel, which I will say is overly herbal to an extent. It kind of reminds the herbalness in it. It's a perfumey herbal kind of feel, but it just straight up reminded me of rooibos tea. If you've taken rooibos tea, that herbal, aroma of it is what kept on, it's one thing that I kept on sniffing from this fragrance. And, and then at the same time, it gave me that feel as though, if you're walking in the woods after the rain and the trees are wet and they're giving out this smell of the bark of a tree, or to put it maybe closer again, and this is just another example, is I remember growing up, we had a place or a street where there were a lot of gum trees, but they had overgrown, so they had to be cut off. And I remember when those gum trees were cut off by the tree cutters, there was that smell that kept on coming. So yes, I should believe that's the agarwood, which is the oud in here, and they're calling it the Cambodian oud. It's a very nice oud, a very tamed, toned down oud, and it just keeps giving, right? So it's a fragrance which, if I'm to take you back to the Lattafas that I've done, it's nowhere near that, because my other reason for staying away from the Lattafas was I was getting a bit tired of the oudy feel and how most of them are very hard to tell apart from each other. This one was different. So now, why I said this fragrance is not like a love at first sniff or first, second, third, or fourth sniff, it's, to me, it came across as an acquired smell, rather, where after that fourth day, and I was about to do my laundry, and I took out the clothes, and there was just this scent coming out. And then I took out one, I remember the pink dress that I had sprayed this on, and I sniffed it again, and it was beautiful. So the magic with this fragrance, the magical part of this fragrance is in the dry down. It gives you this beautiful, very sweet, very sweet scent, which is not I would say this is probably one of Lattafa's best fragrances thus far, because, you know, it just gives you that beautiful scent after, you know, that herbalness is kind of dried down. And the other thing I loved about this Oud for Glory is that the actual oud, you know, is not the star of the show here. It's a very tamed oud, very contained one. It's not in your face. It's kind of like a beginner friendly oud, if I may say. But at the same time, I would say this would be a fragrance that, in as much as I'm saying beginner oud, you know, for a person who's had like a couple of experiences with different fragrances, if this happens to be your very first fragrance that you choose to buy and you go for this, you might find this to be a bit of a complicated scent, because it's not your typical gourmand fragrance or your typical, you know, fragrance that when you walk, you know, in any room, somebody is bound to be smelling like this. No, this gives off that burnt, you know, sugar, that smoky, that tire smokiness, yeah, but not cloying at the same time. And it still gives you that herbally and spiciness, you know, of the oud, whether it's a synthetic oud or it's a real oud, I don't know, but it just gives you that beautiful, you know, fragrance or scent. And the other thing, I would say, if you want to try this fragrance out and, you know, you find it a bit heavy, my recommendation is to spray it on your clothes prior to wearing the clothes. So if you're going to go out, maybe in the next 3-4 hours, best is to maybe spray this one, and then, you know, just to get accustomed to it. You know, if you're not sure of whether you would take, you know, the kind of fragrance it is, because it's a complex fragrance. It's not a common fragrance, which again, like, you know, they have replicated Oud for Greatness by Initio, and that on its own is a fragrance that's valued at an upwards of 250 to 300 pounds. So I'm pretty sure you know that this fragrance, in as much as it's a dupe, you know, really did replicate a very sophisticated and very pricey fragrance. So yeah, it is one fragrance that takes a bit of getting used to, unless you are accustomed to the ouds, or you've had a lot of experiences with different fragrances. Then you might find this one easy to wear. So overall, like I said, to me, it was an acquired kind of smell, which, you know, first time I sprayed it, I almost said, well, I'm going to give it up, nothing special about it, you know. And then the second time I gave it, you know, because I really wanted to try it for you guys so that when I come over here, I know what to say. And when I went to it, you know, second or third time, and then when I was doing my laundry, that's when I realized, yeah, this is actually a very beautiful fragrance. Now, the last question on some of you's mind might be, is it similar to Baccarat Rouge 540? Because some people, you know, do say it's similar to Baccarat Rouge 540, or even if you go on Fragrantica seems to suggest that it's similar to Baccarat Rouge 540. The similarities I get with Baccarat Rouge 540 and this one is that burnt sugar and you know, the use of the saffron blend, and I think that's just as far as it goes. You know, I don't see any other similarities either than that. So if you go for this one hoping this is going to be a dupe for Baccarat Rouge 540, you know, I wouldn't recommend. I don't see the similarities, you know, apart from that sugary, caramelly, burnt sugar kind of feel, the use of saffron in there that Maison Francis Curtin used in Baccarat Rouge. But, you know, aside from that, this I think is a fragrance that's on its own, that is going to tick all boxes for people who like the herbal, the spicy fragrance, the unique ones, the different fragrance, the kind of green fragrance. And then this is also versatile because I did do, like I said, a bit of reading on the Initio Oud for Greatness, and that one everybody seemed to be, you know, noting about how deep and strong it is, and dense and potent. This one to me is an all-weather fragrance. I've worn this one in blazing hot sunshine and I've been fine. It's got that airy vibe, you know, that fresh vibe, and very versatile and ideal, you know, for females and males as well. So yeah, and in terms of age, I guess it's you know, it depends on what somebody really wants. So yeah, having said that, this was quite a mouthful, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been your girl, CeeChronicles. I have been talking about Oud for Glory by Lattafa. So if you were wondering what Initio smells like, or you want to try a cheaper version, I would recommend you go get this one. This one is about £35 on eBay, upwards maybe to about £45. So that's still affordable, considering that it's cloning a fragrance that's almost £300. So yes, it has this video has been about this fragrance, and I hope you enjoyed it. My name is C Chronicles. If you haven't subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Join me in my next video. I'll give you another fragrance review, and remember guys, smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.